City Radio, Success Radio, and Bay Hill News Network.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jessica, and you're listening to Faye T in Claremont on the Praise Life Morning Show.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed Faye T and Claremont, and we have our guest, Queen Gabriel. I'm so tempted. I don't know why. I'm trying hard to remember how to pronounce your name properly. Gabriel. I've known Queen, about 20 years now. And I known her through her mom, and who was a patient of ours at the time. And then Queen had gone back home to, after she's been here to see her mom and that kind of stuff. How long have you come back since you've been back in Canada, Queen? I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I think you muted yourself.
Yeah.
There
Good
you
morning,
go.
everyone.
Good morning.
About 10 years since
10
I've
years.
been back.
Yeah. And for the time that she has been back, she's been doing a lot of things. And we had a conversation, I think about 4 weeks ago, and we were talking about people who are undocumented and the struggles that they go through. And you've done a whole lot of stuff that I want you to come and share it with our audience. So some of the stuff that you've done. You also belong to a group that, Faye, can you just give a quick synopsis of what's happening with that group, the email that they sent us?
Sure. So, it says that, a week from today, which was June. Okay. A week from today, Lovepreet Singh is set to be deported. He is one of the many international students who were deemed admissible for permanent residency and face deportation after being tricked by education recruiters. That's not good. By ensuing an uncapped regularization program that grants permanent resident status for all, PM Trudeau can resolve the crisis these students and 500,000 undocumented people in the country are facing. We need to keep up the pressure. On June 14th, join us at our online assembly to unite on a plan to win regularization and hear from the migrant leaders who are fighting deportation, who are refusing to be exploited, and who are building a powerful migrant led movement from all corners of the country.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think, Queen, you're part of that too, right? Can't hear you again. Still can't hear you. I can read lips. You just said, wow, what's going on? There we go.
Okay, you're hearing me now?
I hear you now. There you go. So you're part of this group as well, correct?
Yes, I am. This group started a couple years before, but it used to be Caregivers Action Center.
Mm-hmm.
By trade, I'm a personal support worker in Canada, and I have been taking care of Canada's vulnerable people for the last 10 years. Except that every time that I went up through immigration for citizenship, I keep getting denied, and for no apparent reason. They give you a checklist on the side that asks you for everything. Letters, where you're volunteering, what you're doing, everything, where you live. And I wanted to mention also that there's no such thing as an undocumented person. Once you have come here through that airport
Mm-hmm.
in Canada, by boat or whatever, you have to check in. So there's no such thing as an undocumented immigrant, as they put it. And they used over the years, since in the 1960s when it had white policies in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
they have used this to block out
people of Caribbean heritage. Before, they used to be domestic workers who would come here to do the work, and they would say that they can't get citizenship after their 2,000 plus hours because they are not acclimatizing to the harsh winters. Or in more recent times, to get rid of Filipino workers and other workers who don't, their first language is not English, they use it and they say, well, you need to do a test that says you can speak English. But if a person has been working here for 2.5 years in order to qualify for the 2,000 plus hours of work, how are they communicating with their employers? How are they surviving for the last 2.5 years?
Mm.
So it's just another ploy, just like the white policies that they used back then, that they keep you out.
Interesting. I
Wow.
never knew about the white policies. I knew they
Yeah,
had
it's
Yeah.
something back then, but I never knew about that. You have done so much while you've been here for the last 10 years. And I know in the earlier years you're thinking, do I really want to stay here? Do I want to go back home? And then you finally said, let me give it a try. You've done so many things. Most people that I know that have been here, either they're hiding or they're trying to do different things to see how they can. What is the right way for somebody who's here, documented, but they call it undocumented, or don't have a landed status, so to speak? Um, what should they be doing?
well, circumstances are different for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
how they get in here. Some have gotten in here through student permits, through work permits that were not open. Something that we fought for in the group was to have open work permits because a lot of workers were being abused
When you
because
say
their work
open,
permit,
what do you mean?
Right.
an open work permit is a permit that even though I come into the country as a worker in a particular field, I can go to somebody else and work. Or like I'm being abused in this situation. Most caregivers, because it was a live-in program when they came,
Mm-hmm.
they were living with people who were sexually, physically, emotionally abusing them, mentally
Wow.
abusing them.
Wow.
And they couldn't talk to anyone about it because they're just trying to make up that time for that 2,000 hours
Mm.
so that they can get their PR, they can file for their PR, and a lot of employers use this as a chip, like a trump card, where they said, well, if you don't do this, that, or the other, then I'll report you to immigration or I will pull your application because they were allowed to do that. We ended up with a lot of people who were even afraid to go and get health care or anything like
Mm.
that. For me, in my situation, I worked for a woman who was supposed to sponsor me, and she waited. I did everything that I was supposed to up to the point like extensions with my visa and stuff. And she waited until like a week before expiration, and then she said, "Well, I'm not gonna do it again because you're gonna be a liability if you were to get sick or if something would have happened," which is not the case. Once you got on that work permit and stuff, I would have gotten a health card that I would have been able, if I needed health care or anything, to be
Mhm.
able to see about myself.
Mm-hmm.
What she wanted was someone who was tied to her indefinitely
Ah.
and that you wouldn't be able to leave. And she was not paying my proper wages. A lot of people don't know that whether you're undocumented or documented, as they say, you are supposed to be paid your minimum wage. And she was not paying minimum wage, and I took her to court for that. And the first
Wow.
thing that she
Whoa, whoa,
wanted
whoa,
to
whoa,
do
whoa,
to
whoa! Wait, wait, wait,
adjudicate
wait,
her,
wait, wait! Hold on, hold on. You took her to court?
I did.
So you mean to tell me that, in spite the fact you're not considered a landed immigrant, you still have the privilege
Yeah,
of doing that?
I have rights. I'm a human being. And
Wow.
the thing about it is the reason, you see, it's about doing the research for yourself because nobody's going to
Mm.
spoon feed you anything. You need to do the research for yourself. You need to read. You need to figure out where all these centers are. There are a lot of different groups.
Mm-hmm.
They will
Mhm.
tell you what they're about, and you can figure out things. You have a question, type it in your computer. You're on your phone 15 hours a day. Use it wisely.
Mm.
And those were my rights. And I took her to court, and her first thing was that she was telling the adjudicator, well, she doesn't have any paperwork here. He says, I don't care about her status. I care about the fact that she worked for you, she provided a service, and you didn't pay.
Mm.
Wow.
She
And she
did.
Which
wanted
is
to
the
settle
truth.
out of court, which I didn't because, yes, the money would have been more, but in the long run, you were not going to be able to go into the public record system in Canada and find her name there. So I
Mm.
chose the latter of it so that today or tomorrow this is to happen to anyone else. She's already documented there for what she has been doing for the
Right.
last how many years because it's a form of enslavement.
Wow. You know, if you don't, if you're not in this kind of situation, you'll never know some of the things folks like yourself are going through. I remember the last time you were doing an interview. I wasn't sure which TV station it was in Canada. And you were talking about
I
the
think it was CP24.
CB24. Yes, you were talking about. Oh, it just went right out of my. Can you believe that? Do you remember what you were talking about then? Because it just went right out of my. I had a specific.
I was talking about the long process that it takes, how long I've been in the system,
Correct. Yes.
and what it costs
The cost.
to do this.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the thing about it is too is that you can qualify for legal aid, and you can get pro bono lawyers to do this stuff for you, and you are entitled to health care. All
Okay.
of these things
So I
without
want you.
papers.
I want you to repeat that again. You are entitled to legal aid.
Yeah,
Wow.
Pro bono work.
And pro bono work as well.
yeah,
I don't think a lot of people know this because a lot of people come here and they start hiding.
because
Mm.
that is what the system has taught you.
Right.
And if you don't decide to stand up for yourself, then you're going to be stuck in that system as well. For me, my thing is that my grandmother was an immigrant, and I have other family who are immigrants. It's just a cycle of looking for a better life and improving what you want as your goal and your dream for future generations to come. So then, if I am standing on the shoulders of immigrants, why should I have to hide? They already laid the groundwork for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to keep carrying the baton.
Yeah.
Something that amazed me, and I'm thinking, why is it that you're still considered, as they say, undocumented or not landed? You have a business, correct?
I do have a business, and I did that business out of necessity because they were telling me during the pandemic, I actually worked in long-term care during the pandemic, and I
Mm.
saw a lot of people die. I was there
Mm.
in the melee of the mental stress,
Mm.
and they said that they would give papers. They didn't. We didn't even qualify for that pandemic pay and all these things that they were talking about.
Right.
Do you know that you can be living in Canada undocumented, as they say, and still earn the right to have a non-resident tax number? Because it's all about the money. It's a capitalist dream to have people like me always in the system. Even this recent thing where they were talking about you can, if you've had a visa in the last 10 years, you can get an ETA to come into Canada now.
Right.
Fraser announced it yesterday, and you pay $7.
Right.
And it sounds like a dream, but when you look into it, you have 20 countries in CARICOM
Right.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your main superpowers in the world are U.S., Canada, England, and CARICOM countries in the West Indies, which are mostly colonial countries
Mm-hmm.
off of slavery,
Mm-hmm.
who are now on the CARICOM, why don't they qualify for this? But they send you things in one hand and they take it out in the other because
Mhm.
people who have never had a visa doesn't qualify. People who have had a visa for more than 10 years, they don't qualify. People who are deported for just not having papers, who are hiding and somebody reported them, they don't qualify even though they've been there. in the last 5, 10 years, and these are people that I know personally that I'm talking about.
Mm.
So they're giving you this in this hand and then in the other, and you're saying, oh, it's so cheap. Then you have all these agreements with places like, besides Trinidad,
Mm-hmm.
places like Grenada, places like Dominica, places like Jamaica. You have all these workers who come on the farm program. They have been working here for years. They don't even know that they qualify to actually try and get PR if they have been working here on contract for the last how much ever years once they have made their 2,000 plus hours of work. They don't tell them
Mm.
these things, that they're
Wow.
eligible for this. So
Right.
this thing that they announced yesterday, and they're saying like you only pay $7. It's so okay. So it's 13 countries. If you have 100,000 people who are in the brackets of what they discuss
Mm-hmm.
in each one of these countries, and then you add that's that there 100,000 from each country, and then you multiply that by the seven.
Mm-hmm.
They are making millions of
Money.
dollars with this little scheme that they're thinking, well, oh, this is good. It's not good. How could you be locking off my brother? Now that's the thing though, like they are great in conquering and dividing us,
Mm-hmm.
and this works for them to do what they're doing with the immigration stuff. Because then you're saying, okay, well, I'll give to the Nigerians, or I'll give to the Ukrainians, or I'll give to the whoever. And once they're getting their stuff, they don't care about the rest. But indirectly, we're all connected, and it affects each and every one of us.
You know,
But
that's the
people don't get that big scheme.
yeah, you're right. Divide and conquer. A lot of people don't recognize that if you divide the people, you can literally conquer them, and you get them. You distract them with this
Yeah,
information,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
on the other
about the
side,
distraction.
you're really digging
Right.
it to them.
Right.
Because that same thing that you were reading about Love Creep there,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
this is, he makes up part of 1.2 million people in
People.
Canada in total who are waiting for regularization, but you're not giving it. So you give this, and more people are going to come in, and they're probably going to stay, and then the numbers is going to go up. They keep advertising that they need skilled workers and all these things, but that they don't tell you, oh, with the skilled workers, something even as much as a crane operator or forklift operator is considered a C-level job. That is a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Any and
Right.
anybody
Right.
cannot drive or operate
True.
a
True.
or forklift. So then each and every way for them to keep us like this,
Mm-hmm.
they're comfortable with it. Each and every way for them to make money of us, they're comfortable with it. But to actually give us something in return, they don't.
Right.
So this whole thing about keeping you guys, as they say, undocumented,
Hmm.
is more money scheme than anything else.
Yes, Canada is a capitalist dream in every capacity, because every time they change the laws for immigration, you have to refile your papers. That's hundreds of dollars. And if you're doing it through a lawyer, that's thousands of dollars.
Right. Right.
I have
But
been
that's
in the system all that time, and every time that they change something, I had to spend more money.
wow.
And
It's
a lot of these things, as well, like biometrics and LMI and all these things, they have expiration dates. So you always have to keep paying to redo it.
Oh my goodness.
so it's not like a time frame because I thought it might have been the U.S. part of it said it renew every 2 years. So this is not specific to the every 2 years. This is specific to whenever a law changes.
Wow.
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 They're always changing something, but not in our favor.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure.
So
Wow. I
what
And
just
they
want
have
to emphasize that Queen's location is not the United States. United States got a few different set of laws where they if you're not as listed documented using the Canadian phrase
landed
US you
immigrants.
say you ain't legal,
Yeah.
you got to work under the table.
Right.
And some people have worked under the table for years, and you'll see them living life, and you think that they're, as we call, straight, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens in the U.S. also.
yeah.
That happens in the U.S. So, but we just use different terminologies, and I think the rules are a little bit stricter because, to be honest, the first time I heard of being able to accomplish the things you have accomplished is now when Clearman said this is what we're going to be doing, I was like, really? You guys do that over there?
Well, here's the thing that got me
But
that I had
here,
you can.
if you're not using your right name, you
Hmm.
could probably get away with some stuff. But if you're gonna use your right name, as you said, you came into the country, you know, whatever name you came in with is what you probably would be able to use. But if I come in as Faye T to Canada and I'm not straight, you know, I might get to do some stuff, but I come into the US and I'm not straight. I'm working under the table, so to speak. I mean, not literally under the table, but I'm working where somebody is getting good working out of me, but paying me whatever they want to.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do two, three jobs like that to survive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When when we had the conversation before this interview here, we were talking about something that you were doing, and I thought you can do that. Um, you're actually going to school now. You're in university right now.
Yes, I'm in university.
You want to talk about that, or can you talk about that?
I will talk about it. It's not a decision that it's not a situation that I'm quite comfortable with at the moment because I don't like some things that's going on in the university for people like me. But York University has, which is great for them, the only program in Canada that allows people of precarious status to study and earn a degree. And for me, the reason that I got into Canada was because of my mom. She was ill, and I came here to add support to her and my sister and my nephew. But I had already finished my first year of university in Trinidad in social work.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the end goal to get in. And then, just like I'm guessing what happened with Love Freep, they took money from him, they did what they had to do, and then nothing because those schools are not recognized.
Mm.
So first and foremost, they tell you that you need to have a social insurance number in order to get into any school. And
Mm.
these private schools might pass that, take your money, but then the certificate is worth squat.
Right.
So when I got into York
Mm-hmm.
off of this program, they only started this program in 2017 for people like me, and it was great. It was great getting back into tertiary education, but I'm starting to see that even though they have that program, I am not allowed the full university experience.
Wow.
Can you explain that, or you don't
It's
want to
about
explain that?
money.
Oh, it's about so
It's
now,
about
the
money.
part that really got me
They're
though,
gaining money.
yeah, the part that you got me though, you said that you are going to school, but you're not paying a foreign student price. Is that correct, or is that
So I'm
incorrect?
paying local prices. That is part of the program. I'm
Wow.
paying
Mm.
resident prices.
Do a lot of people know about this, or
It's one of York's best kept secrets.
Mm.
man, I am telling you,
I'm very disheartened by their treatment right now, to be honest. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about that for now.
yeah.
Mm.
Maybe later on I'll come back and tell you the rest.
Okay, I understand. I understand. Um, what would you say to someone as we wrap up now? What would you say to someone who they call, well, not landed, as we would say, don't have their regularization? Is that what you use? The term we use?
Mm.
Um, who's not in that position? What would you say to them? They hear, um, they're hiding, they're scared, they're nervous about all. What would you say to somebody like that?
I would tell them that they're a citizen of the world. Why are you scared? Stop hiding and putting yourself in an aquarium or a jar and living by hearsay and they say. Do the research for yourself,
So.
educate yourself, and see where you fit in, what options you have, because you have
Mm.
options.
Hmm.
Mm.
Don't just sit there and wait for things to be handed to you. You have to go and get it. You have to put in the work. Like when
Mm.
when you go to these activist meetings and stuff, the reason that I got into it in the first place is that other people were telling my story who had not lived my life.
Mm.
Because most of the people who run these activism groups, some of them are born Canadians. It doesn't affect them in that capacity,
Right. They have no
right?
knowledge, no personal knowledge.
It's off of the other stories of other people. But as for now, the one of them that is running, he has lived that life. But it's like I want it to be heard in my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm.
affects your mental health if you allow it.
Mm.
This affects every decision that you make because you're probably not going to get into a relationship because you think your mate can be trusted and they might call immigration on you,
Mm-hmm.
or you stay at a job that you're being ill-treated at and you know that it's barely covering your monthly expenses, but you have to keep it because you don't have benefits anywhere if you decide to leave. You're not entitled to benefits at all these things. It affects you in every single capacity.
Wow.
Most people that come here are healthy, and because of the stress of this,
Mm.
and because of the separation, and because of, like for me, I lost my brother in 2020 and I lost my dad in 2021. Both funerals I couldn't go to, I had to watch on Zoom. That I still haven't gotten over that.
Mm.
These are people that have been in my life my whole life, and then
Right.
they're gone and you don't even get closure. You don't,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
just that they're not there anymore.
Mm.
Sometimes I find myself picking up the phone and wanting to tell my dad some exciting news or that I'm having a
Yeah.
bad day or something and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they pretend like, okay, well, they're going to be fine and we're going to offer them a little bit of crumbs of whatever and it's okay. It's not okay. I have spoken to people on the phone who have been denied status, and it's grown men who are supposed to be strong as society portrays them because society believes that men don't cry and men don't break and men are not, they're not allowed to have weak moments. And
Mm.
these men are saying that I want to kill myself because I don't
Mm.
know how to provide for my family. And this is a reality of the 1.2 million people living in Canada without status.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And they're
Um.
getting your labor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the email here, it says Jamaican farm workers strikes actions to stop deportation. This is going to be on June 14th. This is going to be happening, and
Yeah.
of course,
yeah,
this
I,
is the migrant rights. This is a group that you're part of. Can
yeah,
anybody join this group, or can anybody get
of
for?
course. You get onto the website, the link is there,
Mm-hmm.
Migrant Workers Alliance for Change, and you sign up the application and they will contact you. And you can do online meetings, you can do rallies, you can send out posts. Any one of these things helps. I remember talking to farm workers who, the rats, they have them living in what is like an outside shed, tool shed type thing. And it's the rats and it's outdoor plumbing and it's the pesticides and it's sickness, it's all these things. And then they make it seem like it's okay.
Wow.
They make it seem like it's okay. Nothing works. In this day and age, you're not going out into the outdoors like in a park or something. You leaving your home to come here to work to earn money for your family, and you're having to use an outdoor toilet for a farm worker that is making thousands of dollars every month that you're here. Really? And then you
What?
have, what are you saying, Faye?
No, so that in my head, I'm like, that's going back to slavery. But go ahead.
It is slavery. It is slavery. Living among rats and roaches and these things, it is slavery. Because on a regular basis, no person would do that.
Right. Right.
Nobody asks to be homeless. Nobody asks to be in situations like that. You're leaving your home to come here because you want better for your kids and for your wife and your family and your generations to come. And you're being put up with this, and then you don't have a voice because the representatives from your country, they probably take pay off and they don't say anything,
Shut up. Mm.
and that's it.
Hmm. Well, I want to thank you so much for talking with us about this because there's so much there's so much that we don't know that we take for granted actually, um,
Exactly.
as those that of us that are landed or have become actually citizens of the country. We take for granted what we receive, but at the same time, even though we are Canadian citizens, I just found out recently if I should do something that they consider despicable, they can still deport me.
Yeah,
That is fact.
And I
yeah,
thought to
That is a
myself,
fact that happens here in the U.S.
for all the time that I've been here, they can deport me, but they wouldn't deport anybody else.
they changed that law about, I think it was 5 years ago, where a lot of people were coming and getting married for sponsorship,
Hmm.
and a lot of women felt jilted, a lot of men felt jilted because they thought that, well, you sponsor somebody, but you can abuse them and these things. And then they started telling immigration, well, they used me for getting sponsorship, but they didn't leave you because they were sponsored. They left you because you weren't treating them well. And that's
Mm.
the thing. When you have the hierarchy of power in the relationship, they
Hmm.
think it's okay to do as they please. I know men, a lot of grown men in Canada who women abuse because they sponsor them and they don't expect them to leave.
Wow.
But it's never about the immigrant. The immigrant is there to pay the taxes and build the economy and then go back home.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Well, you shared
Interesting.
quite a great deal. And I want to thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing with us. I mean, we even have Ottawa in the house. Thank you, Ottawa, for being here with us. I hope that's Justin. He's here, but no, it's not him. Not that I dislike Justin, but I don't like his policies. Simple as that. I don't hate
Mm.
the man. I just dislike the things that he does. Yeah, I say it plainly. I don't hide it. Um, but if him and I could sit down and talk one day without him running off his mouth and repeating stuff that makes no sense, and we can have a
Really.
man to man, heart to heart conversation, I may be able to win him over to Christ and let him know that if he allow God into his life, he can do great things for humanity as opposed to just to himself and the Clooney's that he is with. Anyhow, I end the conversation right here. And Queen, thank you so much for sharing with us
Yes,
this
indeed.
morning.
Not a
It's
problem.
it's quite
Yes, indeed.
a bit of information. Um,
I tell you, knowing that you were coming made me look at things on the U.S. side because I just honestly that part of my life I just take for granted
yeah,
because
we all
of
do.
how I
We
got
all
here.
do.
You know what I
We all
mean?
do.
Never thinking I'm like, what?
Yeah, we all do.
Whoa.
Oh,
Me
and
too
it
out
was,
there.
as I said, interesting enough that when we were planning to talk to you today, that the folks from Migrant Rights Network sent me an email yesterday letting me know what's actually going on 14th. And I thought to myself, wow, interesting that it coincide. Thanks again, Queen, and looking forward to talking to you some more as you're on
Absolutely.
your life journey and to see where what happens. And
Hmm.
one last question before you go: when you do get your landed status, are you still going to continue to help these folks that are battling this such
Absolutely.
good stuff? I
That's
appreciate
the
that.
Got the
thing.
experience.
That's the issue that I have. Like a lot of people get it and then they leave.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
They leave. They don't worry about the rest who's been here 20, 30 years and they're still living in bondage because it is a form of bondage. It's enslavement.
Mm.
Mm.
There's no freedom. Regularization means freedom. Freedom to be able to go to a funeral of
Mm.
someone that you love dearly that passed away,
Mm.
or be able to travel somewhere else and take your family on a much deserved vacation.
Mm.
Because long ago, probably in the 50s or so, when lobotomy was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
mental health was something that was scrutinized and it was taboo to talk about. But mental health is most important to health.
Mm.
It's your outlook on life. It's what it's what makes your neurons in your head sore when you're stressing and your cortisol is going down to your stomach or your hormones is off.
Mm.
It's all
Mm.
connected.
Yeah.
It is important. And somebody who's living undocumented lives in a hypervigilant state of
Right.
always
Right.
being under mental stress.
Mm-hmm.
And they behave like
Mm.
they don't know that. They know that. There was a point a couple years ago that they were saying that officers of immigration were asking people on the street for their papers. And they said, no, that's not legal. There was another activism group that started, I think it was No One is Illegal, that was talking about that. Like, you can't do that to people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not gonna take my position for granted anymore. I'll tell you that.
Tell me about it. I mean, when I came, it was easy peasy for me. I walked in, I signed a few papers, I said, hello, I'm here. And they open arms, embraced me. And then I had my other struggles. But besides all of that, I didn't have all these issues
Me
that I
either.
see some folks
Me
go through.
either.
So, I don't know how I can help, in what capacity I can help, because I don't have that much knowledge of all that you just shared. So, but if there's anything that I can do or we can do, especially as a radio station, please feel free to let us know.
Always highlight the information, share the information.
I certainly will. And for
Information is nothing if you're not
Hmm.
sharing it.
yeah,
Education is nothing if you're not sharing it. There's nothing like about your brother being less or more than you. We're all equal.
hmm,
So once you share what you know, and I pass on to the others, they will know that they can pass on to the others that there are options
hmm.
and stop
Right.
hiding.
For those
Right.
that are listening on radio right now, you can always go back to our YouTube channel, Streaming Praise Radio, and go over the interview that we just did and share it. Please share this with folks that you know that are not landed and they can get information. Again, what is that organization, Migrant Network, right?
Migrant Workers Alliance for Change.
Migrant Workers Alliance for Change.
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
involved with healthcare workers, farm workers, gig workers, students. They combined because we're stronger together.
So, who is Migrant Rights Network? Is the same thing?
Hmm.
Okay. I'm quite sure, guys, to make it easier on you, if you Google Migrant Rights Network, everything comes up. You can't miss the information. So if you want to share that, share this uh, streaming praise radio link that we're talking about, here with Queen, and you also can go back to your Google and Migrant Rights Network. All of that information comes up. I just did it, so you can't miss it.
Mhm.
All right, Queen. Thanks once again for sharing with us, man. We appreciate you. Stick and stay
Thank
with us
you.
right here on the Praise Life Morning Show. My name is Claremont, and we have Faye T and